You are watching a video tutorial from Brandy Arnault. That's me, of brandyarnaultfineart.com. And today I'm going to paint for you Benjamin Bunny. The first thing I do is stain the canvas, or in my case it's a board. And why do I do that? Well, I want to judge the values better. And by staining it, I get that bright white out of the picture. And as you watch me draw here, you will notice there is some hesitation with the brush. Well, that is because I am looking at my photo reference. I'll do that all the time throughout the whole painting process, but it shows up more when I'm drawing. Now, as I'm drawing in this bunny, I am noticing that the ears look rather wonky. So you will see me take them off in just a minute and start over with the ears. Now is the best time to make adjustments like that, because if you don't, you will be painting and painting and painting and something won't look right. And then all of a sudden you'll realize you put in a lot of time and you have to scrape all of that off. I'd rather do it at this point. That doesn't mean that I haven't made mistakes like that in the past and continue to make mistakes like that. But I try to keep my mind set on what does this look like compared to the other parts of the bunny. And there's nothing like drawing freehand. And that does take some time. It's not something that happens overnight. But once you get those skills, you know, it's so much easier than trying to draw out a grid and, you know, match each inch square. No, I don't have that kind of brain. So I'm glad that I learned to draw. Most of the time when I'm painting an animal, after I get the animal drawn in, I do begin with the eye. There's just something about getting that eye in and almost finished that makes the rest of it go easier. Now, normally I start with my darkest darks, but in this case, I'm still working around the eye and some of the other features like the nose, but I'm just blocking in at this point. And then you see me jump up here to the ear. Again, I'm just blocking in. And spoiler alert, these ears, this second attempt doesn't make it either. But you'll see later on in the video how I handle that. And now I believe I'm going to start the block in of the body, and we will be working with the darkest dark. Now this bunny has a variety of color in the fur, so you will see me jumping around to accommodate that. So in other words, if I have a certain color and I see it repeated elsewhere on the body, I will place it then. I'm being tempted to do some blending, but it might be just a little too early in this development of this bunny to be blending. Let's see what happens. And now I'm back to placing values. And we have most of the dark and midtones, so now I'm working on the lighter values. But that doesn't mean I won't get my brush back into darker value. Now I've moved up to the lightest lights. However, I am not going to keep this white. I am going to tone it down with a warmer color in the near future. So stay with me. Okay, I'm developing the ear, but I am going to take this ear off, so I'm going to stop it right here. These ears just are not right, but I'm still trying to make them right. So I'm doing what I caution you guys not to do. Don't work something that is not correctly drawn in. And now it's time to do the rest of the body. Now he is a portrait with his face and his neck to his upper chest. And I'm doing the scrubbing in method for this part of the bunny. When you're oil painting, you want to have a very thin first layer. And that's why I do scrubbing in. I just took off the ear because it's not back far enough. We'll try drawing it back in. It's got to come this way. And you can see that it's not off by much, but just enough to make it not look right. And you can see that there is quite a bit of hesitation with the brush as I am looking very carefully at my photo source. Third time is the charm. And I'm correcting the margins with the background color, cutting into the ear to better shape it with the background color. And that just helps me to stay focused on what I need to pay attention to. All right, so you notice that there's some different colors in the background. That's because I tried putting florals back there and I failed, so I scraped them off. You see the ghost of those florals remaining, but I will address that later on. But for now, let's continue developing the repaired ears. Now the ears are not finished, but I noticed that I want to do a little bit different approach on the eyes. So you see me doing that here, and then I get carried away and go into redeveloping the entire rabbit. See what I do? First, I seem to want to adjust the color of the rabbit from more of a taupe to more of a gray. But I actually end up warming up those colors too towards the end. Yuck, what a mess. Let's start cleaning this up. My goal here with the ears is to make them look like they're not pasted on, but indeed part of the rabbit. Watch and see what happens here. I develop it, bring that line up and connect it to the skull. Much better. Those ears look like they're part of the head, not pasted on. A little bit more work on the eye. Let's lather this bunny up for a shave. Of course, I'm just kidding around. We are going to start the final applications of the lighter color, and you will see that I am going to also introduce more warmer color as this proceeds. And here comes some of the warmer, yet lighter color. And now we're going to do some blending brushwork. So I have a dry brush. What do I mean by that? I've wiped off most of the color and I'm barely touching it. And that just drags the color around and softens it up. Sometimes fingers are more effective than brushes. Here you're going to see me start the final background colors. I'm going to put them on a little bit thicker and blend them into what's already there. We're going to start the whiskers now. I'll be using several tools to accomplish the whiskers. I'll start with the brush and then move on to the palette knife, as you see right here. And the very light strokes that you see in the beginning that are almost not there, that is again for a 3D look. As I move forward with the whiskers, I will get bolder. But I need to have those very light baby hairs in the background first. Even though I'm signing, I'm not finished yet. There's a couple more things that really make a difference, so stay tuned. Right here you see me indicate the second eye of this bunny, and I think it's very important. Very important. It adds that 3D look. And here we are, all finished. Please like and subscribe.